Whenever we think about security architecture, what you or what appears in your mind, like what you think of that, Aziz?
Yes. The Qt architecture you're saying, or the particular uh what do you call it? The image that you have on the side on the display.
Yeah, like what a security architecture could be like, how would be the infrastructure and all.
Oh, of course, it's gonna be like, obviously, in an enclosed area, very enclosed area, where it's like, um, behind rooms, like another technical room, and you have, lockers, and you have, obviously,
Okay.
everything is enclosed in, like, like I said, the glass mirrors like that. It's as it is displayed on the picture. Obviously, it's secured with like keypads and keys and passcodes and everything, where the whole structure for the what do you call it? The network, you can say, is stored physically.
Okay. So it's kind of a locker, or you're going into like physical architecture of a room or the
Yeah.
security. But actually, here security architecture in the sense the security devices actually. Like how do we maintain our information secure, or how do we consolidate our devices with secured architecture? Like it could be from a natural disaster, or it could be a theft of your network device. Okay. Or it could be a hacker who attacked via network. Okay. Mm. So here we do have architectural models and security principles and strategies for securing enterprise systems in today's complex, where like IT landscape in a sense where we do have all information technology devices. Okay. So
Uh,
what actually the security architecture mean? So here we do have some frameworks, as well as we discuss systems, devices, network devices, and here what we do, we place them and we apply some policies like to restrict, and we do also have a blueprint of an like in every organization there will be a blueprint of their network, like how is their network, like what all devices they are using in their network. Okay. And they do also create a multi-layer protection in order to avoid security breaches. Okay, an example where 1 second. Okay, so what does firewall do? It so if this is an organization, like we can uh, make it as like virtual boundary where it is connected via internet. This is our ISP, internet service provider. Here, like at this entry, we have a firewall. Okay, basically we can think a firewall as if a security guard. Okay. So what a security guard will do in general perspective, he'll he'll be standing at your in gate as well as at out gate. Okay. And what he'll be doing? he'll be checking your, he may check your bags, okay, and he may first he'll validate you, your identity actually, okay, then he'll check your bag. Then if like both are correct, like if he didn't found anything like suspicious, he'll allow you, okay. Same here, firewall will also check inbound traffic and the outbound traffic, okay. It will, in firewall we do have policies written, and here we do create zones like internal zone, external zone, okay. And yeah, firewall do have capabilities like firewall would be like L4 firewall or layer 4 capabilities of firewall or layer 7 capabilities of firewall, okay, where it will only intercept or it will only monitor the network traffic, okay. Here it will manage sessions, it would manage, like because it is layer 7 where application works, so at this level also firewall will work. So we can take this as an example. So what it will do here, like block unauthorized internet traffic before it enters your network, okay. Same as like security guard, and acting as a first line of defense against external threat. Like whenever a threat or anything would happen, it should cross this firewall, okay. Like if attacker is capable of cracking this, like first what he'll do, as yesterday what we did an nmap scan where we found some ports. So he'll also do an nmap scan to this firewall. Like if he got to know via social engineering or via anything, if he found this IP, then what he'll do, he'll run a scan where he'll find some ports, and he'll find some services, like which service is available, like whether RDP is available, whether C2C is available, or whether and FTP is available, whether it is open or whether it is closed. He'll gather all information. Okay. And what does firewall do? It will protect from if we do have layer 7 firewall, it do have some intelligence where we can also mention IP restrictions, like that country IP range should not flow within our organizations. Okay. Next would be like this is a like real world example kind of thing where we everyone, as we do have a Wi-Fi router at home, so which also contains a firewall that automatically blocks some unknown devices from connecting. So whenever as what you can do, you can first you can go to your router page, or you can install an application where what is my IP, or you can go to website, you can type what is my IP, so you will get an IP. So what you should do for, like in order to get into your router, like Wi-Fi router interface, should just type https colon and that IP, okay. Like if you type that, you will redirect it to the web page of your router, where you can see what all the network devices, like what all the capabilities your router is having, Wi-Fi router is having. There you will see a parental control will also be there, where you will also see network devices, like how many network devices connected, and there will be a firewall also where you can add some website where which you want to block, okay. So here what is cloud architecture or shared responsibility model. So nowadays everyone is moving towards cloud. What is a cloud? Cloud is nothing but a storage where a service provider will be there. He'll provide these storage services based on amount, like we call as software as service. We do have many applications here, many categories here. So what he'll do, he's an organization. We can take AWS, Azure, we can take Google GCP, Google Cloud Provider, where these all will provide storage based on some amount. Monthly subscriptions will be there. Nowadays, what everyone is doing, like instead of deploying their servers, like it is traditional way we can call it as, they are moving to hybrid or totally cloud infrastructure, where they are using, where they are buying some storage, where they are converting them to EC2 instances and storage accounts, and there they are deploying all their websites or the applications which they are using. Okay, so here cloud computing has a revolution over organizations, like deploy and manage their IT infrastructures. However, like nowadays we do have O365, where all products of what we call Microsoft are there here. So you can just buy a subscription over an organization level or personal level. So where you will get everything, like you will get OneDrive, you will get OneNote, and you will get Word, what everything, like SharePoint. You will get like cloud SharePoint. You will be getting, where based on email IDs and domains you can categorize like who all we need to give or who all we need to remove the permissions and all. Okay, where it also have a security model, and which where infrastructure and what we call customers who like it could be like your general laptop would be there here. Then a IT team will be there, where they do have a normal server and they do also have an Azure. So where from in Azure what they'll do, they'll maintain your what we call Entra IDs. Here they'll give you Entra IDs. So here they'll give you, based on your domain, they'll give permissions and all. Okay. So what could have happened, like cloud access security broker, okay, and cloud web application firewall, what we call it as WAF. Okay, here monitors and controls user activities across the cloud application, provide visibility into shadow IT, and enforce security policies in real time. Here, as in traditional, like we do have a server where they create your IDs, or based on your IP, they'll create based on IP or MAC restrictions they'll add, and they'll give you some ID so you can log in into that previously. Right now, what is happening, and whenever you join an organization, you will be catch up to an IT. Then what he'll be doing, he'll be creating, as I said, like an entra, like your like email, what we call, he'll create on their company domain. Like if the company is AB, abz.com, then he'll create on your name. Like if your name is name dot, your last name would be there @abz.com. So this will be your enter ID, where on this ID they do have an interface, cloud interface, where this policy would be working, where they'll be allowing like what all group you would be there. Like if you are a security operation guy, they'll drop down, like they'll add you to this. Like if you are into VAPT or vulnerability assessment and all, they'll drop your ID here, like where you do have different privileges over different sectors in organization. What a WAF will do. So here, let me share one thing. So I do have a
Yes.
notes of WAF where like how WAF actually works. So let me, one second. I'll copy this one. I'll paste it. Okay. So how actually WAF will work? So WAF is nothing but hmm, in our traditional, what we do have, as I explained you, this is your traditional, like you do have laptops and all, and here you have a traditional firewall. Okay, where it protects you from your organization from external threats or external attacker. But what WAF will do, WAF will protect your organization which is hosted on cloud. It is like on premise. Okay, here what you will be doing, like if you hosted any website, if you hosted any SaaS application, if you do have any newsletter website or anything, where client in the sense a person, you, it could be, or it could be an attacker. This is internet, where here the WAF layer will be there. Okay, where it will filter request. It could be your URI request will be there, like what we call, whenever we go to a website like google.com/home, this is known as your URI request. So it will filter this also, whether it is known to that, like whether it is acceptable for a outside user. Okay, and one more thing, it will secure your web servers and app servers. Like whenever you host whenever you host an application, uh, all you do also have a WAF for that, and for web servers also you do have a WAF. Okay, and what, like in your web servers, what you would have, you would have a database, you would have APIs and backend systems for, in the sense like code would be there, database in the sense like collection of the data of your what of your clients or your customers would be there. So what are the steps would be there? WAF operational steps: traffic interception, request interception, rule evaluation, action decision, and at last it will respond filtering optional, which is an optional. So here traffic interception in the sense, whenever you try to browse anything from here, or you would try to access something, it will check each and every bit, byte, or URL, URI of your request. Okay, and it will also validate whether this, like if you are working from an XIP, whether it is allowed or not. Like if Y is allowed, like Y location, it would be like we can keep it as Canada. Like if Canadian people are allowed, so it will check, okay, this range of IP would be there for this, origin or this location, they are allowed. If American is not allowed, some like if you take an example of Netflix or any Prime, Amazon Prime, you would have based on your location, you will be having some content preferences. This is how WAF will work. Like it will also go in depth of that application as well as it will deny and allow the request. Okay, let's get back to the PPT. And what infrastructure code like act, what we call, like throughout security automations, you do what we do, we use some code and scripts to automate our daily operations. Like it could be your report prep, or it could be your daily operations. It could be like your alert triggering, validating, and all would come under code, like where you use some GitHub repositories, and you do, like if you are into development company, where you do uploads and GitHub repositories, where you do forge of those repositories, and instead manually, like we do have servers, and where code will be written by engineers or development team, which will make some version controls, in the sense we whenever we update any, or let me take an example. We do hosted a website on traditional, let T be traditional and C be cloud server would be there, and traditional. In traditional server, you need to update or patch each and every library in your code. But when you hosted on any cloud platform like Azure or Google Cloud or AWS, where it will automatically update the patches, like if the version is there, it will automatically adapt, like it is an adaptive way. Okay, where we do have a templates Terraform, where generally, like whenever we host any application, we do have Terraform, and we do have automate security scans, like S3 bucket would be there, where it is a storage, backend storage of cloud. So we do have scans over there, and we can also, what all we can do, we can deploy securely, like secure configuration, like there won't be any misconfigurations of our code. Okay, like everything would be secured via cloud, serverless or microservice architecture. Like as we discussed, API gateway, in the sense whenever you do have many applications, where application program interface, generally so we do have some API keys of that application, which we will integrate with our, like we do, as I said, virus total is there. We can take keys of that, like API keys would be there. So after that, what we'll do, if Vazo is there, so we'll integrate that with this Intel tool in order to validate the threads, like as we did hash validation in virus total and MX toolbox, the domain validations and all. If we connect via API, it will be working. Here API gateway security, in the sense whenever we do connect our APIs with these things, we also make sure that the API is secure. Like if there is any vulnerability in that API, hacker could get into your organization system. Okay, so with mesh protection, where we do encrypt communications between microservices, in the sense like low level of information transmitting, whether if we have any document where we do had to keep permissions to that, we already applied to Entra, so it will take care of that. Okay, and serverless securities, in the sense implement functionality level permissions and monitor for anomalous invocations pattern. Like if as during our second or third session we have discussed about IPS and IDS, like which will be working at your switch level. Okay, here as it is integrated with AI, tools are there in our market. We can take an example of Darktrace. Okay, so which will detect the pattern based on your information transfer or information capturing on that LAN or VLAN. Okay, and network segmentations, in the sense we do have divided teams in organization based on the network and IPs. Okay, like if 192.168.10.1 is given to security operations, then 192.168.20.1 range would be given to a VAPT or any other team. Okay, so in order, like if there are any alerts from these, we can have like this range of IPs uh, belongs to this department, so we can ignore or we should raise a validation over that. So here network segmentation will be working. So where fundamental security principles, where divide networks into smaller and isolate segmentations. Okay, where we do have based on these IPs, like IP ranges, will be applying different rules, like who all can access what all websites, who all can get into what all they can do, whether they can do Nmap scan or whether they should only monitor the logs. Based on this, we do categorize them. This is where network segmentation will get come into picture. Okay, a real world example would be their guest Wi-Fi or guest account in that organization, where they'll be creating, they do have separate zones where they'll be creating a guest account for 24 hours, 30 hours based on your email ID. They do have policies written in their applications, so they'll give you a new SSID with password. Like every different person in organization or uh, any, like in companies, they do have like everyone will, each and every person will have different SSID, where they do log in with their own domain and with their own password. No one else can log into that with your password. See, here a student, like they have segregated into, like if we are in a school or in college, where they have segregated students and faculty. Like based on the category, they do have domains created, so that the student can access only low level of privileges, where faculty do have administrative privileges over there. On-prem containers and virtualizations. So we do also discuss like why we use virtual machines, so that our host machines should not get corrupted or get hacked. Container security means like where Docker, Kubernetes, they'll be using bare metal in the sense physical server running on traditional operating systems. Like they could be Windows server or they could be a Linux server over there. So these all will be coming under our security architecture, where like
Manbhai,
yes,
sorry to interrupt. Can you just go back to the old slide once?
yeah,
So you said like they will create separate LANs, VLANs for every student. That means if you have 200
no, no,
students, so
no. They'll be segregating IPs, VLANs, and based on this, as I said, see, this is a VLAN and this is a VLAN. Okay,
hmm
if they give this to students, there would be many things, and there we do have an advanced concept of subnetting. Okay,
hmm
so range of IPs would be given because a guest person or guest employee would be staying for limited time, right?
okay.
After that, they will be revoking those access.
hmm
They won't be applying on students individually. They'll be applying on a VLAN or a RJ45 cable, like the internet source from where the switch, from there the where the internet is coming, from a switch where the socket would be there. On that port they will be applying, and they'll be virtual LANs they will be creating. In that they will be applying policies. Okay,
Okay.
they won't be applying individually. Like
So
if
basically, one
huh,
LAN is for each every student. I mean, the separate department would be created
yes,
in VLAN for students, and
yes,
separate
yes, yes,
department created in VLANs for administration.
yes.
Okay.
So that the person who is accessing there also they do have mac mac restrictions as well as domain restrictions, so that the person who is allowed to sit in that compartment, they should only go into there. Like student can't go into a teacher staff room and he can't access internet from there, right?
Yes, yes.
They do have separate labs where they have created the policies and generally, but in
hmm
organization you will be having different seatings, and nowadays you are not using like traditional LANs. You do also have LAN cables, RJ45 cables, but the access points are there in organizations where your individual ID has been created and they'll be looping. So I'll explain you 1 second. Oh, so we can go. So what in organizations right now you will be seeing there. We'll get into a picture like from here we'll get it is your Wi-Fi, or we will remove it. Okay, so here you do have your switch. Okay, okay, VLAN 1, VLAN 2, VLAN 3. Okay, this could be for CEO and high level of authorities like management. This could be for managers. Okay, operational guys, and this is for employees. Okay, right now what previously they used to take this LAN, they used to create multiple outsourcing for that switch and for that VLAN. But right now what they are doing, they are using this VLAN they are keeping an access point. Here they do have an access point. Here also they do have an access point. Like wirelessly, every employee will be connected to this only, where they do have it could be like access point for E employee, access point M manager, access point operation. Okay, to that they will be logging with their domain and password, which is individually created for them. And at last at cloud or here they will be applying, like where the network segmentation is there, they will be applying rules over this VLAN. Okay, because they have already applied for domain key, this person will only access this, and in this VLAN key he have all privileges. He do have some privileges where he can't go into finance. He can see whatever the client is there, because he's a manager. He can get into client and operational documents, but he can't get into the finance documents, right? And for employee, what he should, like, he should only be monitoring the network. Like based on that, he won't have access. This is how they create the VLANs over there.
So they configure with all the permissions
Yes,
to each and every LAN, VLAN, I mean.
yes, yes, yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Let me delete it. Okay. And here we do have also IoT industrial control systems, and we do have real-time operating systems, where IT technologies will be covering operation, where operational IT technologies and operational technologies has a security challenges, where IT in a sense like physical devices, like it could be your laptop, it could be your smartphone, and it could be your network devices, all will come into IT devices. So here a problem was raised, key, like how will we have monitored network, right, via firewall and all, but how can we control the things, like if anyone is sharing or copying with a pen drive? So they came with endpoint detection. Endpoint in the sense all the IoT devices. It could be your laptop, whatever you organization gave you. It could be your tablet if organization gave you, or it could be like every connectivity device which you use for production in the organization. Okay, so here we do have endpoint protection in the sense EDR came into picture. So this, what it will do, it will control critical infrastructures, where it will go into micro levels of like each and everything. Here it is, everything is like automated, like there are softwares which will configure each and everything for everyone. Okay, based on there we do have edit options, like we can also include or exclude those malwares or threats or files. And IoT specified firewalls in the sense specific firewall, low power devices, like for our security cameras, smart sensors, and building controls that cannot run traditional security software, where we will get RFID. We do have every person who is working in organization will have punch in punch out card where he need to scan to get into that room, like because they are not connected with internet, where they also use small firewalls where like there will be micro machines which will be installed for that device only, for that punch in punch out. IDS IPS, where we have studied it will monitor your patterns, where behavior also it is integrated over all switch levels, where from one VLAN to another VLAN, whether you are allowed, whether you are not allowed, it will be taking care of that. Network isolation, in the sense, here you will be keep protecting or isolating devices, like it should not be accessible for anyone, in order to like if a malware is we'll take an example, there are 10 laptops or 10 endpoints where one of them is infected with a malware. What they'll do at first step, they'll disconnect the internet in order to protect other 9 laptops, and they'll isolate this one laptop. Like in order there should be no lateral movement, there should be no file transfer from that infected to good devices. Okay. And what is high availability? Like in order to maintain continuous operations, we do have high availability, where everything is accessible at the point of pen, where if you want to access your operational document, so at the same point, whether you are at office or whether you are at home, if you do have meeting at home, you need to have access, like where traditional when traditional servers or traditional servers which company uses, they won't have high availability. They'll have high availability within office. Like if you are out of office, if you had a sudden call, if you want to access all the documents or the all the logs, how you would? So that's the reason nowadays they are hosting on cloud, where they do have permissions, where WAF is there, where interpersonal level configurations has been implemented. Okay, so that the continuous availability of resources are there. Here load balancer is there. Why load balancer is required? Actually, what it will be doing, whenever there is a cloud server or traditional server, there are multiple requests flowing through it. So there they will be adding a load balancer server. It could be for our cloud or it could be for our traditional, where they'll add this. Instead of going all the requests to this, some request will be going here and it will be waiting until this request complete, in order to protect our server. Like if there are multiple servers, what would have happened? The server could get crash, right? Server failures would have happened. That here this load balancer will automatically reroute its and to a different server where they could have hosted similarly, until there will be a threshold value, like there are some per 1 hour they should get only 100, or we can make it as like 1,000 requests. Like if it is exceeding that, there will be a heavy load on this. In order to avoid all the load, in order to protect our server from crashing, they'll reroute that to another where identical server would be there. It will be having those failures when we do have heavy internet visibility, or if we can also take an example of sometimes like recently as Cloudflare got server got crashed, where what would have happened? There could be millions of requests flowing through that server where it has been crashed, where they would have load balancers also. Those would also have been crashed because the traffic is huge nowadays. Okay, failover clusters in the sense we do have if we can make it as like there is a firewall and we do have another firewall in order like anyhow it is an hardware device, right? It could like after some days it could have a failure in that hardware device. In order to continuous productivity, whenever there is a ping down over here, it will directly transfer the traffic to this. Okay, and database replication, it's nothing but a backup server where we do manually for a period of time. We always do backups for that database, like if it is in a database where every 1 hour or every 2 hours an organization department will be there, where if there are no automated tools, they'll take manual snapshots of those database. Because if within that like after that period, if something would have infected that system, in order to revert back, they'll take snapshots as well as backups. Okay, to prevent data loss. So security enterprise infrastructure with network zones. What all network zones will be there within an organization as a point of security? So internet, which is untrusted zone, will create here. This is your organizations. You will have a, let it be a security zone. Okay, out of this if you go, it is internet, which is unsecured. Okay, internal network. Here within an organization you will have multiple internal networks. Okay, this would be one zone. DMZ in the sense, if this is your organization, you would have a firewall here and you would also have a firewall here, where here you will be hosting a server for external people who can get into this, but they should not get into our organization. That's the reason DMZ is created. This zone we call it as demilitarized zone. Okay, secure zone, internal network zone, and internet zone. Basically there will be three zones. And within one zone we do have another zone which is secure zone. So public internet, where everything will be going out, where we don't have any trust over any network which could where any website. Okay, this is untrusted zone. DMZ, as I mentioned, it is an internal server hosted by organization for external people. The traffic should flow from that firewall to this zone. Okay, internal network within an organizations, they do have file servers here, they do have applications for employees, where we do have secure zone, high restricted area containing critical assets, which will be within organization. This is critical. Okay, here how we do have perimeter firewall, internal firewall, network access control list will be there, intrusion prevention will be there. This is how we manage an network architecture in organization. What? One second. Failure model. Fail open versus fail close. So here what will happen? Whenever a system fails, there will be a secure state which will deny all the access in fail close. Fail open, what would happen? Whenever there is a system crash, it will open everything for everyone. So we'll take an example of a server. And it also have a firewall. Let an attacker is attacking to this. Okay. He is sending millions of thousands of requests to exploit your data. So suddenly what happened? This device got failed. Then what will happen? It will close all the connections. It will shut down. Okay, in this case. But in this case, what will happen? Same firewall would be there based on the configurations. Whenever it failed or it got hacked or cracked based on the vulnerability, it will reveal information. It will reveal a path. Like it has a crack. Right. This is how fail open and fail close is determined. So network system appliances, special protection, jump servers, proxies, intrusion prevention. We have already discussed intrusion prevention. We'll discuss proxy. What is a proxy server? So in an organization, so this is your laptop. We'll take a simple example. Generally what we'll do, we'll directly connect to internet. But here, so your IP will be visible. But in an organization, proxy server will be there in between you. So whatever the request you will type, it will go into proxy server. Then if like here also we do have conditional policies. Like if it is allowed, it will allow you, or else it will say sky high proxy has been blocked this website. If it allowed, then what will happen? Your IP won't be going from this visible to that website. This proxy IP will be visible. So if there is any harm from external, your proxy may get corrupted. That server may get corrupted, but your endpoint won't get corrupted here in this situation. This is why we use proxies in organization. Jump server in the sense your a hardened system that server single entry point for administrator access only for critical infrastructures. Only the administrator will have access to that jump server or that host if an attack would have also happened, in order to get logs or to monitor your endpoint. That is the reason whenever in an organization they create your enter ID or your profile in endpoint, they'll also have a blank profile where they'll log in with their administrator password. Okay. As we have already discussed load balancer and network load balancer, which will take some request in order to prevent server crash, okay, or in order to protect data loss also. And network sensor in the sense passive monitoring of network traffics, where it will collect all the network traffic, proxy traffic, firewall traffic, and logs from each and every network device for analysis and as well as for auditing compliance purpose. So we do have a 360 view of what is flowing within organization and what is going from an organization. One second. Okay. So port security and next gen firewalls. Uh, uh, as we discussed, next gen firewall is in OSI layer, which is layer 7 firewall, which have capabilities for application level security. Okay. And port security, where here will prevent or protect our network devices, where if file if a port 21 is open, if port 22 is open, if port 8 is open for external, there should be only 443 which should be for inbound, like outbound traffic, in the sense like which is going from you to an organization. Inbound in the sense from outside something is getting into your organizations. So here will protect and will close the unnecessary ports which are not required for everyone. So in layer 2 security, we'll have port security where network switches limiting connection based on MAC and preventing unauthorized device connectivity to physical networks. Here, this is the authentication which is used for our network, where we do have credentials over server, right? 802.1x authentication, and network access control, where based on our patching, we can get an example where VLANs, we can get like VLANs is also a network access control only, where based on the VLAN segregated, we will give an access within network. Okay. And here we can also see patching status, antivirus, in the sense like whether a antivirus is capable of previously we used to have McAfee antivirus, where if we try to open any application website also, it used to block sometimes. Okay. And next generation firewall, where layer 7 capabilities, where it will also it have granular security, in the sense mm, mm, low like in-depth security it will take, where it can also detect malwares within your endpoint or within your organizations. It can also prevent intrusion, like all layer, like from layer 1 to layer 7, everything can be controlled via layer 7 firewall, where it have all the capabilities and it is big in hardware size. Okay. We can control port, we can control IPs, we can control websites, we can control malwares, like we can block each and everything we can do in layer 7 firewall. And here we do have application awareness, in the sense identity and control specification. Apps like Facebook and BitTorrent will be blocked via organizations on firewalls. In next generation firewalls, it is very easy to just list out those URLs. We can add it into a category. Okay, integrated IPs also block. It will also here integrated IPs in the sense it can connect with Intel sources. Like I have showed you one website where abuse IP abuse DB was there, where we found SSLs which were we also found IPs as well as hashes which were malicious. So what these firewalls they'll integrate with these Intel sources in order to prevent if there is any new IP which is malicious and trying to get into our organization. Okay. Next, where access control, secure communication and access. I've already discussed like what is an access control, access point, where we do have in organizations. Here we do also have VPNs gateway. Like if you are working from home, you need to have a VPN which is provided by that company, because there will be some applications which will be, let's suppose there is a fire, you are a network manager, you can only configure the firewall from within that organization. In order to get that organization, what you will do, you will use a VPN where it will be connected, like it will be hosted on that firewall. Whenever you connect it to that fire, like with that VPN, you will be directly connected to your office firewall, where you will have a DSCP where it will allot you an IP so that you can work from home, and you can have access to that firewall in some critical conditions. And like every organization is using VPNs which are specified to their organizations only, not the open source VPN. We can open VPS or something. Nowadays we do have many in app stores and as well as in play stores, right? Those are not the actual. They'll also connect to some server where there could be a scenario where our data can be leaked, right? And SD-WAN devices in the sense software defined wide area networks, where it is also a security connections where we use them for data centers, automatic encryptions, where we can have an example of Cloudflare. So everything is encrypted when it is going through, or it will validate, like it will validate whether we are a human or it is a script, dummy script which is trying to get into that website, right? TLS, like here we do have HTTPS filtrations, so where it will be encrypted and it should decrypt when it comes to us, right? So it here we do have encryption and decryption of request in an organization. So we do also have zero trust architecture, multi-factor authentication. How we can implement all these things? Least privilege access, session monitoring, encrypt channels. Zero trust architecture in the sense within an organization, no one, like there is a saying that uh, don't trust anyone, trust only the thing which you have given access to that. Okay, never trust, always verify. Like even though you are a CEO or CTO or a manager in company, there will be a verification for your logging passwords and all, right? This is how zero trust will be working. It like zero trust itself is a big concept. And what is MFA, multi-factor authentication? Nowadays we can also keep it like we can keep in our Gmails also. We can go to our Gmail settings. We can go to manage profile settings where we do have security and privacies. In that we can go and turn on our multi-factor authentication where there are many options where we do have security codes as well as we do have a pop-up on our host device to accept, and we do have another way where it will send OTP to your Gmail or email or to your phone numbers. Okay, least privilege access in the sense like only like if am I if I am an intern, I should only have access to the learning resources. So they'll give me only those resources so that they can protect an organization critical information within an organization. Session monitoring. Session monitoring in the sense as a security person, we do have monitoring tools like SIM, EDR, IDS, IPS, and all, and proxy monitoring also we'll do. So there we do write some rules where session in the sense the traffic which is flowing from whole organization, whether anyone is doing malicious activity, whether anyone is trying to access which he is not permitted. Okay, as we discussed, here we do have a count also. 78% of organizations are using VPNs, where 95% are using like encrypted web traffic. Okay, rest of like 5% are using like HTTP and which are not encrypted now also. And here like 22% people are not practicing this VPN,